CNN 10. We are 10 minutes of news explained, and I'm your host, Carl Azuz. It's great to see you. First story this Tuesday. It's been almost 7 months since the battle began to retake the Iraqi city of Mosul. The ISIS terrorist group overran Mosul back in 2014. It was Iraq's second largest city, and it became ISIS's most important stronghold in the country. But they're losing their grip on it. Iraqi and international forces, supported by U.S. troops, launched an effort to retake the city last October. It's been a long, hard fight. The coalition liberated the eastern part of the city in January, and they've been trying to clear out the western part since then. But though they have the advantage, with about 100,000 coalition troops versus a much smaller force of terrorists, ISIS is so dug in. They've been using tunnels, explosive traps, human shields, that it's been difficult to get to them. Over the weekend, a U.S. soldier died while on patrol in Mosul. Army First Lieutenant Weston Lee was hit by an explosive device. He was the second American military death in the battle. For a look at the effects this has had on the city, we're now able to take you inside thanks to the work of photojournalist Gabrielle Chaim.
A tender father and daughter moment in the most brutal of landscapes. Their home is only half standing, the city around them obliterated. These exclusive drone pictures obtained by CNN show the scale of destruction on the front lines of western Mosul, neighborhoods newly freed from ISIS by Iraqi forces. As Iraq's elite Golden Division rolls in its armored vehicles, ISIS retreats, paying a heavy price. Bodies of its fighters still lie where they fell. So recently recaptured is this neighborhood that the black flag of ISIS still flutters overhead. The streets below, eerily deserted. A makeshift roadblock from where ISIS fought only weeks ago, still standing. In the video, dark smoke from burning tires and debris billows across the skyline, desperate attempts by ISIS to hide themselves from airstrikes. Here, the camera catches an explosion, thought to be a mortar hitting a building. A reminder that fighting rages on only meters away. After months of street-to-street battle between ISIS and Iraqi forces and pounding from coalition airstrikes, the scale of devastation in this part of Mosul is difficult to take in. In these drone images, it seems every building, every street, every car is shattered, nothing left to support human life. So the civilians are forced to flee, clutching their children and their few belongings. Who knows what future lies before them as they join the millions of other refugees running from this war. And for those who stay behind, picking through the splintered remains of their lives, moments of joy still possible before they are lost again in this bleak and dusty scene. Hala Garani, CNN.
International pressure is increasing for North Korea to give up its controversial missile and nuclear programs. The communist Asian country has shown no signs that it's willing to do that. It tried to test fire another missile on Saturday. The U.S. officials say it failed, apparently exploding while it was still over North Korean territory. Still, the attempt was an act of defiance by the country. It came after an announcement by India that it would stop all of its trade, except for food and medicine, with North Korea. Until that decision, India was reportedly its third biggest trading partner after China and Saudi Arabia. For more than 10 years, the United Nations Security Council has tried to pressure North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons program. It's done this through sanctions, penalties on North Korea's economy. But even though India is a member of the United Nations, and even though it's been elected to the UN Security Council several times before, it hasn't fully complied with UN sanctions on North Korea until now.
Welcome to the United Nations Security Council. The one thing you need to know is that the Security Council is the most significant part of the UN because it's supposed to protect and maintain international peace and security in the world. The Security Council is made up of 15 different countries. They sit here around this circular table. 5 countries have had permanent status since the start of the Security Council over 70 years ago. They are the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. Their job is to determine if there is a threat to peace or an act of aggression somewhere in the world. It often calls on sides to settle differences by peaceful means or send envoys to start negotiations. If things don't go well, it's the Security Council that approves punishment to enforce cooperation in the form of sanctions. When all else fails, the Security Council can authorize the use of force to stop the fighting or threat.
10-second trivia. Which of these sports is youngest, having been invented the most recently? Football, basketball, ice hockey, or baseball? All of these sports were around before basketball came on the scene. It was invented by James Naismith in 1891. It was named for the peach baskets that Naismith used as goals. And the sport's come a long way since its introduction at the YMCA more than 125 years ago. It's enjoyed by men and women, boys and girls year-round. It's played internationally. It's been a fixture of the Summer Olympic Games since 1936. Even watching some of the simplest elements of the game, like the construction of the ball itself, is a fascinating sort of exercise. Nappercise might sound like a workout for lazy people. At this gym in London, it's designed for tired people, specifically tired parents. More of a sleep-in than a workout, beds are brought in where spin bikes usually go, atmospheric sounds replace the rhythmic thump of gym music, and after an orchestrated climb into bed, sleepy folks can catch some Z's, the idea being that after the 60-minute class, they'll be refreshed and ready to face the day. But will catching a nap catch on at a gym? Critics might say you're being a little relaxed if instead of counting reps, you're counting sheep, or instead of lifting off, you're nodding off. It's certainly not a heavy lift for heavy lids, but if you'd rather catch Z's than a medicine ball, it should all work out if you go into it with your eyes open. I'm Carl Azuz, and there's more on CNN 10 tomorrow.